Philadelphia 76ers, and you can listen to all the exciting Sixers basketball action right here on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Brought to you by Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City's pre-owned center on the Black Horse Pike in Pleasantville.
Now Harden on a drive, back to Joel, three-point shot, Embiid dribbles, fires from out front, it's good, he made it, the Sixers take the lead.
Sixers basketball all season long on 97.3 ESPN FM.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers, and Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Thursday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. I am Josh Hennig, hanging out with you. We'll recap the Sixers win over the Celtics. What does it mean? Plus, I'll get some thoughts on the state of the Phillies offseason, and we'll talk some NFL Thursday football tonight. Eagles at the bye week and more. Kaylin Kaner, she is back this week from The Athletic, because she's a senior NFL writer for The Athletic. She will join us in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. That is the text board. Don't forget, you can DM the show, direct message us through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I want to start with the Sixers win last night because I characterized the win in the game that we saw last night as a confidence-building win, as a quality win. It's not a win that defines you as the Celtics, but it's a, hey, we are here and we're not backing down. To use another sports analogy, it's like when you have a championship fighter and that fighter is been so good for so long, and you have this other fighter who comes up and they take the other fighter's best shot and they look right at him and says, I'm going to be here all night, buddy. That's what the 76ers did last night, because their defense saved them last night. The Boston Celtics took 47 three-point shots. They only made 15. The Celtics had 13 more three-pointers than Philadelphia, and they couldn't cash them in. And a part of the reason why was because of Philly's defense. The Sixers win ugly despite their own struggles shooting, despite their own turnovers. This was a character-building win for Philadelphia. They didn't get flustered. They didn't get annoyed when they weren't making shots. They kept fighting. They stayed in the game mentally on both ends of the court. And maybe this is the real reason why someone like Nick Nurse will have success in Philadelphia where a Doc Rivers or Brett Brown couldn't. Because I think Nick Nurse is much better at in-game adjustments than any other coach in the league is not named Eric Spoelstra. What he did last night was an incredible example of how you got to understand the flow of the game. You have to understand the way the game is playing out and how it impacts your players. I thought it was an incredible job last night where he said, look, I'm going to play Nicholas Batum a lot because Batum is having success for this team in certain areas. And realistically, Kelly Oubre only played one more minute than Nicholas Batum last night. But Batum became a very important player. Because remember I told you guys last night that I was curious to see, with all the players that Philadelphia had, would they just keep throwing them at Boston's two best players? Tatum and Brown combined to score 27 points. There are many nights that Tatum and Brown each score 27 points. But last night they combined for 27. On the flip side, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, well, they combined for 52. Now, what made up the difference in the middle was, like I said, there were some turnovers in the game. You know, Embiid's got this thing. I don't know if it's just because he's playing teams like Milwaukee and Boston, but he's got to stop turning the ball over. He's got to stop forcing the issue. He's got to let the game come to him a little bit more. And it felt like with those 6 turnovers last night that he was pressing a little bit at times. And, you know, I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't have an answer for that. And that's why it's so frustrating, because this guy has had so many coaches in his ear since he got to the NBA. He had Doc Rivers and Sam Cassell for the last couple of years. Before that, he had guys like Brett Brown and Kevin Young and other coaches in his ear, NBA lifers in his ear, Elton Brand in his ear. Now he's got Nick Nurse and his staff in his ear. And you just look around and you're like, dude, like you got to quit with the turnovers. And, you know, the first time you get a high turnover game against Milwaukee, they lost that one. They were fortunate to win this one. And for me, I have to just accept that Joel Embiid he's never going to be much more than what he is right now. He's never going to be more than just the guy who has great moments and great nights, but he's never going to be the most consistent player, okay? And I hate saying that because I think Joel Embiid is capable of being more, but for whatever reason, this turnover issue, he just can't get out of his system. But the good news is the defense stepped up. Joel Embiid had 4 blocks last night. The Sixers of the team had 7 steals. And the Sixers out-rebounded Boston 56-43. The Sixers bench outscored and out-rebounded Boston's bench. And I know statistically Batum, Covington, and Reed didn't have these monster games, but those guys put in a lot of valuable minutes off the bench. And I thought that it was a huge part of the game. It was a huge part of this team acquiring now the confidence to say, we can hang. We can do this. We can look the champion in the eye and say, I'm not going anywhere. I can hang with you. I don't need James Harden to beat you. See, that's the other side of this. It's the psychology of a win like this. Does this win mean the 76ers are a better team than Boston? In the literal sense, no. But does this mean that Philadelphia has now acquired the swagger to know in the future, if they face them in the postseason again, that we can handle these guys? Yes, you did acquire that. I think that's the bigger picture of all this. It's the idea that you have now acquired something that you didn't have before. In the past, the only reason why you ever beat Boston was because the famous TJ McConnell game and then James Harden going off for monster scoring games in 2 of their 3 wins. Now, you didn't just beat Boston. You beat Boston on a night that you shot not good. Sure, you had a better field goal percentage than Boston did, but any NBA team that shoots 44% from the field and 26% from three-point range, they're not usually winning games. The Sixers won an ugly game, and it's a huge character building win for the rest of the season, because it doesn't matter how many times you play Boston the rest of the regular season. You now have it in your back pocket that when you play Boston again next week, right? Remember, they play them next Wednesday, a week from today. When you have to go to Boston on December 1st. And when you have to go do Boston again, February 27th, you now have the confidence in knowing I've done it before. And if I've done it before, I can do it again. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN. Mobile app powered by First Bank. Seattle. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in and says, I was so tired of all the Harden drama, and now I'm excited that Maxey is thriving and the Sixers are winning. I'm sitting back, clapping my hands. Good poll by you there, Jeff in Ocean City. But he says, now can Embiid stay healthy? The Embiid healthy thing, that is always going to be the unknown with this guy's career. I'm just going to be straight with you guys. I don't think he is going to have a very long career. I don't think Embiid is going to be like LeBron James and playing 38, 39, 40 years old at a high level. But I don't think he's Bill Walton either, where eventually he'll have to take a bench role to actually survive in the league. At 29 years old, Joel is in a position to have maybe about 3 more elite seasons before, he starts running out of maybe the ability to stay healthy. Joel, the last 2 seasons, has played 68 and 66 games. According to the current NBA rules, you are not eligible to win awards or be on the all-pro team, like the all-NBA team, if you don't play at least 65 games. So Embiid is meeting the minimum threshold the last 2 years. So if you can get Embiid to play 65 to 70 games every year, that's probably a win. Because guess what? He was the league MVP last year, and he's led the league in scoring the last 2 years. So I understand what Jeff and Ocean City were coming from, but I do think there's something to be said for the fact that Embiid has played the minimum prerequisite of games. And yes, Jeff, enjoy yourself out there in Kansas. I don't know why Jeff keeps telling me he's in Kansas. I'm so jealous that he's in Kansas. The problem with me, whenever I hear Kansas, I think of 3 things: Smallville, Alice in Wonderland, Jayhawks. That's all I think about. What else is going on in Kansas? I mean, Kansas City is not even fully in the state of Kansas. It's half in Missouri and half in Kansas. And I obviously am a little tongue in cheek. I know Jeff is out there on a trip, but still, I just think it's funny that he keeps Kansas. I'm live in Kansas. It's like, all right, Jeff, I get it. Enjoy yourself. 609-403-0973. All right. Still to come on the show, we have another opportunity for the qualifier for 99 bottles coming up in about 45 minutes from now. Actually, more like 40 minutes from now is when we'll hear the next sounder go off. Also, my thoughts on the Eagles and the NFL. Eagles are at the bye week. And before we get to break, because we got Kalen Kaner coming up on the other side from The Athletic, I was asking this question earlier today, and I'll throw it out here again. I know Mike Gill asked John McMullen about this earlier on the Sports Batch here on 97.3 ESPN. Jalen Hurts, through the first 5 games last year, had 4 passing touchdowns. Through the first 5 games this year, he has 6 passing touchdowns. In the first 9 games this season, he has 22 total touchdowns. Last year, through the first 9 games, he also had 22 passing touchdowns. So, if Jalen Hurts is the guy who starts out slow and picks it up at the end of the year, could he legitimately win the MVP if he goes on and has better numbers this year than last year? We'll talk about it next here on Game Night with me, Josh Hennig, on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Oh, baby, Embiid rocks the rim. Throws it down. Embiid with a slam. He's got 43.
It's Sixers Pistons tomorrow. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use at Chico & Sons in Northfield for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
seizethedeal.com.
When you switch to Boost Mobile, you can get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G and a pretty powerful way to get after it.
Like me, Tusi, a man who fell in love with music and fell on hard times. From writing songs in my room to sitting on top of the charts. All because I made poetry out of pain. And I always knew I'd be on the stage singing your favorite song.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone on America's largest 5G networks.
Boost Mobile. Get after it.
New customers only. Taxes extra. One device per line. 5G not available everywhere. Other restrictions apply.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because only the Sleep Number Climate 360 smart bed lets you each sleep up to 13 degrees cooler or warmer on either side, while you both sleep at your ideal level of firmness, comfort, and support, your Sleep Number setting. And now our all-new next-gen smart beds have temperature benefits, so you sleep better night after night. And now, during our Veterans Day sale, save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition Smart Bed. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
I've been taking Nutrafol for about a year.
I've been taking Nutrafol just over 4.5 years.
My hair was thinning.
I just gave birth. I was under a lot of stress.
I like Nutrafol because it's drug-free and the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement.
My hair feels thicker,
stronger.
The breakage is less.
Nutrafol has taken me back to the hair I was meant to have.
Join the 1 million people growing at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com.
When your people are ready, your business is ready. Cintas makes sure they have what they need to perform their best. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, fire protection systems that are tested and inspected, first aid and safety supplies, floor mats, or cleaning tools and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together, so visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
She's running around. Her breath doesn't smell. Her digestive system is perfect. It has made such a huge difference.
What did this dog parent do for their dog? She switched to Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food made by Dr. Marty Goldstein, a veterinarian Forbes magazine called the Miracle Worker. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free full-sized bag of Tilly's Treasures dog treats. They're best-selling beef liver dog treats while supplies last. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or shop in over 2,000 stores nationwide. Use the store locator to find the store closest to you. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Bank of America is the proud employer of over 210,000 teammates who go above and beyond to support their clients' financial goals. Like Emily, who helps clients create a plan to build the future they want. Like a wedding, having kids, or retirement. All real achievements her clients have shared photos of. For all your financial goals, we're here to listen and help. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/about. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon and more Apple gifts for the fam.
This holiday, trade in any iPhone in any condition for a great deal on the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium, Apple TV 4K, and Apple One with unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Go to your local Verizon store now.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We'll check back in on text board in just a moment at 609-403-0973. That's text board. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. A couple days ago, when we started having these conversations about who are the Eagles, what are the Eagles, right, at this bye week. And I don't think we have appreciated enough that the Eagles are 8-1. People, we as a society tend to be so negative, okay? We tend to not look at the big picture. The big picture, all right, is the reality that the Eagles are not just 8-1. The Eagles are on the precipice of history. There has not been a team that go 8-1 after losing the Super Bowl the year before since 2000. In fact, since the year 2000, 10 of the last 23 Super Bowl losers have all had under 500 records. That's almost half of them. So maybe I am a little impressed. And I think one of the more impressive parts of this team is their pass rushers. Gerald McCoy has been sitting in for Jason McCourty on Good Morning Football this week. And he was asked about who is the most underrated pass rusher in the NFL. Because people always talk about Aiden Hutchinson and Myles Garrett and TJ Watt and Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa. And McCoy, remember McCoy was an elite player in the league. And he pointed to the two birds for the most underrated guys. Take a listen.
I got Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. Get into it. I think these two are the best tandem at rushing the passer in the NFL right now. Let's just go over a few numbers. Let's start with Hassan Reddick. 54.5 career sacks, 7.5 sacks since week 4 this season. At least 1 sack in 5 of the last 6 games. 10 plus sacks in 3 straight seasons. But listen to this. He's done it with 3 different teams. You know how hard that is? There's 3 different systems, 3 different groups of D linemen you playing with, and you're being consistent. But nobody talks about it. This guy's a measure of consistency.
He talks about the consistency. That's a huge part of this. It's a huge part of the problem. Because when we look at athletes, we don't always factor in the guy who consistently gets the job done. We only factor in the guy who gets some of the job done. Like the highs, we get excited about the highs. But a guy gets 18, 20 sacks, that guy's amazing. But the guy who gets 12 sacks every year, we sometimes forget that guy. He's right. The consistency is a huge part of this conversation. Here's what McCoy had to say about Sweat and Reddick.
Let's talk about Josh Sweat. Go on. Leads Eagles in sacks over the last 5 seasons with 35. 50 QB pressures this season. That's tied for first with Micah Parsons. Of all people, he's tied with Micah Parsons. In 2022, set a career high with 11 sacks and 23 QB hits. He's got 6.5 sacks this season, 16 QB hits.
You hear that production and you realize that the Eagles are not a bad defense. They don't need to blitz more. It's the issue that I think this team is so injured, and this is a first-year defensive coordinator with a system, that I think that we tend to look at this team differently. We only look at one stat. Well, what are the sacks, not the quarterback hurries? When the hurries are way more valuable than the quarterback hits, at least according to Robert Saleh and Mike Tomlin and Bill Belichick, and every other defensive-minded coach. They want to get the quarterback off his spot. That's why I think it's valuable. So I think that we don't appreciate Jalen Hurts. We don't appreciate enough this defense. And this team is already treading in unknown territory for this franchise. All right, check it back on the text board, 609-403-0973. I did mean Wizard of Oz. Yeah, not Alice in Wonderland. Honestly, this is a sticking point for me, because the whole concept of like Wizard and Oz and Alice in Wonderland and all of those fictional kids stories, I never was into those. And it was kind of like a thing where like my dad was way more into the Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland than I was. So I very easily mixed them up. So yes, I did mean Wizard of Oz when Alice says there's no place like home. We're not in Kansas anymore. Not Alice. Who's the girl in Wizard of Oz? See, now I remember that I got Alice on the mind. I can't even tell you who the Wizard of Oz lady is. Yeah, I'm gonna remember it at like 11 o'clock at night tonight. All the characters. I'm gonna rattle off the Wizard of Oz characters off the top of my head when I'm not thinking about it, when I'm not trying to remember. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Now I gotta look it up because I can't wait for you guys to text me in. Wizard of Oz characters. Dorothy. Okay. So Dorothy's from Kansas. And then there's Alice in Wonderland. All right. Very long text here. All right. Texture didn't leave their name though, but they did end it with a LOL. So I'm going to take it as they're not being too aggressive, but it is a pretty long text. Texture says, Josh, Kansas City isn't half in Kansas, half in Missouri. They are two separate cities called Kansas City. Now, let's break this down. First of all, you realize what you said is ridiculous. That there are two separate cities that are across the water from each other. I'll continue with text. The only major one, which is where the Chiefs and the Royals, etc., play in, that is Kansas City, is fully in Missouri. The Kansas City in Kansas is a tiny little nothing that has nothing to do with Kansas City everyone knows and refers to. Just to clarify. All right. So a couple things. First of all, I think you're exaggerating a little bit about major versus tiny little city, because going by people who have lived out there, a lot of people I know actually who have actually I only know two, but the two people that I know who have played for the Kansas City Chiefs told me that they lived on the Kansas side of the river there. Okay. I understand it's a completely separate incorporated city. Okay. But for the rest of us Americans, Kansas City is split by a river. Okay. And frankly, as you put it, if that tiny town of Kansas City, Kansas barely has 100,000 people, then by your definition, Drew and EHT, which congrats to you for putting your name on there. That's a real man right there, putting his name on a text. If a tiny little town of barely 100,000 people, then Atlantic City is a tiny little town. Under your definition, Atlantic City is a nothing city, Drew EHT. I'm just saying. Oh my goodness. Yeah, now everybody's texting in Dorothy. Dorothy. Yeah. Yeah, I get it now. Yep, Dorothy. Yep. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't watched Wizard of Oz in a long time, but doesn't Dorothy have like reddish brown hair and Alice in Wonderland has blonde hair, right? If I remember correctly. So now we're really going into the weeds here. 609-403-0970 text says you can't argue with Hurts' record of 2 losses in 2 years. To me, Texter, is more than 2 losses in 2 years. It's the fact that Jalen Hurts is 10-0 against teams with a 500 or better record. I mean, that's just insane. All right, let's try to get one more text in here before we hit the break. Texture says, well compared. Drew followed up. Well compared to Kansas City, Missouri. LOL. See, I like the fact that Drew is ending with the LOL. Because, like, I feel like the LOL, and we've all done this, right? You don't want to come off as a jerk or a mean person. So you throw the LOL in there to let the other person know that you're just enjoying the conversation with them, or you're having a little fun with the back and forth. So I got to say, Drew in EHT has good texting etiquette. All right? You can put that on your resume, Drew. Josh Hennig from 97.3 says, I have good texting etiquette. All right, so Dorothy's from Kansas. Alice is from Wonderland. The Kansas City Chiefs are in Missouri. What else can we clear up today? Rowan used to be Glassboro University State College, or whatever it was called. Yeah, we're just clearing all kinds of stuff up today here on 97.3 ESPN. Yeah, I know. You all took me down the wrong path. See, now you're admitting your mistake, Texter. You took me down the wrong path, and now we're going to go to break talking about things that have nothing to do with sports here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
Ryan Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Join me along with one of this year's Hall of Fame inductees, Joe Thomas from Soldier Field in Chicago, for NFC action between the Bears and the Carolina Panthers. Both teams looking for a win to lift confidence at the season's halfway point. Don't miss any of the action. The Panthers and Bears on Thursday Night Football.
Listen to Thursday Night Football on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every basket, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a three-pointer at the buzzer to tie the game, or a player goes 2 for 2 at the foul line. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, must be present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Pro, Progressive Fence and Rail.
Hey, Mike Gill here. Wishing for an outdoor upgrade that will make the neighbors jealous? My friends at Progressive Fence and Railing are your secret weapon. Whether it's a durable fence or railing, a stylish deck, a beautiful awning, or a serene gazebo, they've got the magic touch. Experience top-notch quality, impeccable craftsmanship, and finance options that fit your budget. Grab your free estimate today.
Pro, ProgressiveFenceandRail.com.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
My dog has more friends than I do.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
I should really give my dad a call.
Find your perfect mattress at the Black Friday sale at Mattress Firm. You can save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic, plus get a $300 gift toward pillows and more, all with free and fast delivery. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours this Black Friday sale. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
She's running around. Her breath doesn't smell. Her digestive system is perfect. It has made such a huge difference.
What did this dog parent do for their dog? She switched to Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food made by Dr. Marty Goldstein, a veterinarian Forbes magazine called the Miracle Worker. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free full-sized bag of Tilly's Treasures dog treats. They're best-selling beef liver dog treats while supplies last. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or shop in over 2,000 stores nationwide. Use the store locator to find the store closest to you. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Is your home ready for the next season? Are you worried about rooms that aren't staying cool or won't keep you warm in the winter? Call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. Save more with rebates from these local utility companies. A new system can save you on your utility bills. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsonSons.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, as promised, joining us right now on the phone line, she is the senior NFL writer with The Athletic. He is Kaylin, and she is back with us here on Game Night on 97.3. Kaylin, I'm glad we can make it work for a few minutes. How you doing today?
Doing well, Josh. Thanks for having me. I'm standing in the tunnel at Soldier Field, getting ready for Thursday Night Football. A very exciting matchup between
the absolute worst matchup.
Teams. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, well, we won't get too much into that matchup if that's okay with you. So
that's fine. That's totally fine.
So here's where I want to start with you because, in this area, the Eagles are at the bye week. And I'm repurposing a question I asked Mike Sando a couple days ago that I'm going to ask you here. The Eagles are 8-1. They're the best record in the NFL. But are they the best team in the NFL with the best record?
I mean, I think they're looking like they might be because the Niners, we've got questions about now. The Cowboys can't seem to win games that matter in the final seconds. That's been a problem that has plagued them during McCarthy's entire tenure there. And I think Sunday's game really showed that for you. There were, like 4 or 5 plays that, McCarthy afterwards used a cliche and said it's a game of inches. And it is. And they had, 4 or 5 situations where they could not get these details right. Dak stepping out of bounds on a 2-point conversion. Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end, taking his route to the goal line just a hair short so they don't score there. They had an illegal formation penalty. They had a delayed game penalty. Those are mistakes that the Eagles don't make. We did see, I think, 3 penalties from the Eagles on the last Cowboys drive, but that's rare for them. That's not something they typically do. They're a very smart football team. They're very well coached, and they're very well coached situationally as well. So, I mean, it is looking like that to me. I mean, we've got questions about the Miami Dolphins. The Chiefs offense doesn't look like the Chiefs offense that we've known. Now, their defense is really good. The Bengals, I think, might turn into what might be the best team in football, but right now I wouldn't say that. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles are in a great spot, and particularly with winning over the Cowboys. I mean, they've got a 2.5 game lead over them now. So, I do think that the Eagles are in a great spot, and I think my only concern right now would be the secondary, just seeing what CD Lamb was able to do Sunday against them. That would concern me going forward, but I think they're in a really good shape.
You mentioned the secondary. Let me hit on that with you really quick here because they lost Devontae Maddox basically for the year. He's their number 1 nickel corner. They've rotated about 20 different people now in and out of that slot. I mean, it literally looks like a name of a law firm at this point. Ricks, Gardner, Brown, Roby. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, and let's be fair, James Bradbury is not as good this year as he was last year. So could the secondary be the Achilles heel that you believe that could keep a team like the Eagles from winning a championship?
Yeah, I definitely think it could, and I think it's something to keep an eye on at this point. Especially as I said, after Sunday's game, I think that was CeeDee Lamb. I can't remember the yardage that he had, but he was open all day and he was making things happen, and they had a really hard time shutting him down. And obviously, he's a really good receiver, and you're not going to play a team that has a receiver of that level every single week. But I do think especially come the postseason, it is going to matter, and I do think they need to figure out a better solution to that.
All right. So if the Eagles are, if not the best team, one of the best teams in the NFL, does the MVP of the league reside on the Eagles, or is that player on another team?
I think he's probably on another team. Like, I'm thinking it could be Lamar Jackson this year. It could be. I think there's an opening for Lamar this season because he's playing really well, and he's kind of similar to his 2019 when he won MVP. So that's someone that I think has a really good chance at it. Yeah, I think that would be my answer right now.
We're talking with Kayleen Kaler. She's from The Athletic, senior NFL writer, joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Kayleen, I know the story you have coming out for The Athletic has been my favorite story of the week, to the point where I've been, mocked a little bit for it by some of the other people here at the station. But I am enamored with the guy with the same name as me, Josh Dobbs. I mean, this guy has literally gone to multiple teams and basically found ways to win under the most ridiculous circumstances, from coming in the middle of the game this past Sunday to be in the Cowboys with a not good Cardinals team, to almost winning with the Titans last year to get in the postseason. I mean, this dude's story is amazing to me.
Yeah, I think he's on his way to having a Ryan Fitzpatrick-esque career, or, like a Josh McCown type career, where they come in when a team needs a bridge or a stopgap, and, they can win a few games. They can have those exciting moments. And Minnesota actually has a history of, having a backup save a season for them. Case Keenum did it in 2017? 2018? 17 or 18? So, it's been done there before. And, I don't know, it's too early to say if Josh Dobbs is going to be able to do that for these Vikings, but it was really exciting. And I have a story coming out tomorrow that is kind of going a little bit inside one specific aspect of what he was able to do on Sunday, which was incredible. There was a clip of him on the sideline where he went into the game with his starting offensive line huddled up for the first time ever, going over the 5 primary cadences that the Vikings use. And that moment went kind of viral on Twitter. And I was like, oh my gosh, now's the time for me to finally write the story that I've been reporting for. I started reporting it all of last year, and then I kind of forgot about it. It hadn't touched my notes in like 8 months. And then I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. And when you ask a backup quarterback, like, what is the most important part of their job? You might think they're going to say something like, oh, playing scout team quarterback, or like supporting the starter, charting plays in the game. But what a lot of them will tell you, what Josh Dobbs told me last year in Cleveland when he was the number 3 quarterback, he said the most important thing is to mimic the starter's cadence perfectly, so that when you go into a game, you're not having the offensive line being confused and false starting, or worse, fumbling the snap. And when he went into that game, he had never taken a snap from that offensive line because he was not taking any reps at the first game during the week. So it was the first time they had heard him do the cadences, first time that the center, Garrett Bradbury, had snapped to him. And after he went into the game, they had no penalties. Their only penalty came before Dobbs went into the game. So I think, you can chalk that up to his experience of having to come into a lot of different situations on limited preparation. So I think that's really interesting. So I have a story coming out tomorrow that really goes in depth about that. And so I think it'll be a good read for everybody.
All right. So without giving away the details of the article tomorrow, so aside from the cadence, because you mentioned the idea that, you want to mimic what the starter does so the offensive line doesn't get confused. Well, how does that work for a guy like Dobbs, who he literally just showed up? I mean, and Jaron Hall was starting the game. So you went from Kirk Cousins to Jaron Hall to Josh Dobbs, like mimicking a cadence. I mean, that's got to be up there. Like, you're not just up there doing like a normal, like, I know Jason Kelsey described it on his podcast new heights about how like everything is a color number sequence.
Yeah.
But like, cadence is way more than that because you're also having to, lay out for what this team practiced all of August.
Right. And, I think Dobbs was probably familiar with some of the things that they were doing because they do vary from team to team and from offensive system to offensive system. But, it can vary in the words they use and the color and the number. So there's a good chance based on his experience that he was familiar with the structure of the Vikings cadences, which I don't know exactly what they use because people are very protective over that information. But
right.
I know he learned the cadences when he got there this week, but that offensive line had not heard his voice. And I know in Minnesota, what they do is they have a season. Last year, Kirk Cousins was mic'd up all season. So they have their quarterbacks listen to Kirk from his mic'd up recordings from last season. So I know Jaron Hall likely had spent all year making himself sound like Kirk from those recordings. And then you have Josh Dobbs. I don't know if he had time to listen to any of those this week. So it really is amazing what he was able to do. But I think like his adaptability comes from earlier in his career. And something he told me that's really interesting about this is when he was in Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski, who used to coach in Minnesota for the Vikings, he thinks that this part of the game is so important that he actually during practice, he has a recorder in the helmet of each quarterback, and it's recording their cadences as they practice. And then after practice, they take the practice film, which obviously doesn't have audio, and they sync it up with the audio of these quarterbacks' cadences so they can make sure that they all have the exact same timing. So Dobbs was doing that last year in Cleveland. So, I mean, this is a guy who's just like dissected cadence at the highest level. And so I think that does help him in this situation.
Interesting. Well, the article comes out tomorrow in The Athletic by the guest today, Kaylin Kaler. She joined us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Kaylin, I appreciate you jumping on. I know we had some miscommunications, some misfires, but I'm glad we got you on today.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me, Josh. Have a good night.
Absolutely. You too. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Yes, I am an Athletic subscriber, so I will be checking out that article tomorrow because this has been a back and forth conversation we've been having throughout the week, which is, for me, knowing football the way I understand football, the players who do what they do, they're doing it at such a high level, right? She mentioned Kirk Cousins. If you watch the Kirk Cousins in the quarterbacks Netflix show, right? You see the amount of preparation that he went into each week from, getting special therapy for his body so he could be physically ready to go. The fact that he would, put in his ear and he would listen to, cadence and calls and the different plays, and he would memorize the plays. And so Kirk Cousins, and he's not even an elite quarterback. Like, he's not Pat Mahomes. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning, right? But Kirk Cousins, I hate to break it to you guys, is probably going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day. Because Kirk Cousins right now is on his way to finishing his career with better numbers than people in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. In fact, I got to double check. I don't even think Kirk Cousins has ever been a first team All-Pro. But you know what Kirk Cousins does have? Kirk Cousins, before his season-ending surgery this year on his Achilles, right? He was on pace to have his fourth consecutive 4,000 passing yard season. It would be the second time he did that in his career. So Kirk Cousins is already playing at a high level of football, right? 69% completion percentage this year, 18 touchdowns, goes down with an injury. Jaron Hall's the starter. Josh Dobbs has been brought in to back him up, break glass in case of emergency. Well, emergency happened. And Josh Dobbs comes in and plays, I think, way better than anyone ever expected him to. And the reason why I say it's impressive to me is because of the fact that playing that type of football without knowing the playbook, without basically learning everything, and you just got there. And he's done it before. So maybe we have to give him credit, like, has been said before. I know Mike Gill said this before, and I know Kalen mentioned it. He's done this multiple times now, whether it was with Tennessee, whether it was with Arizona, and now Minnesota, where he's had to come in last minute and figure out how to win a game. Well, the problem is that he may be 1-9 as a starter, but he still has 12 passing touchdowns in those 10 starts along with 17 appearances. He actually has played pretty good overall for a guy who probably shouldn't even be playing in the NFL. He's got 10 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this year. I think that we don't appreciate the fact that there are certain people who can just do the game at a certain level. I think that we as a society have become a little bit numb to the fact that we have become numb to the fact that these athletes are incredibly talented and good at what they do. We have become numb to the reality that these athletes, they are great. And it's not just a Joel Embiid. It's not just an AJ Brown. It's the fact that to play professional sports, you are doing things that the average person cannot do. Maybe that's part of the reason why I think the whole Jordan Mailata story that I wrote at 97.3 ESPN.com is so funny to me, because Jordan Mailata got starstruck. He had to perform a song with Patti LaBelle, the godmother of soul, and he froze. He had stage fright, he said. And that's why I thought the video was so funny. I had to write about it at 97.3 ESPN.com because, Jordan Mailata, he's blocking these amazing athletes each and every week in the NFL. He has an amazing singing voice to the point where he sings at his own wedding. Talk about the level of mental fortitude to do that, right? But he gets shook by by singing with Patti LaBelle. What are the odds of that? It's just it's a wild story in and of itself. All right, that's the sounder. Caller number 7, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7, 609-573-3776. You are a qualifier for the 99 Bottles Party. You qualify and you have a chance to win Eagles tickets, Sixers tickets, Flyers tickets, concert tickets. You must be present to win if you're a qualifier at the Anchorage Tavern in Summers Point on the day before Thanksgiving. Yes, that Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Mike Gill and the Sports Bash will be broadcasting live from 2 to 6 p.m. Caller number 7, you are a qualifier at 609-573-3776. By the way, shout out to Jack at KMA Courthouse. I'm glad that you enjoyed the interview with Kalen Kaler. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schweim. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schweim, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.